Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill White again, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit this afternoon about cyst. Uh, it's pretty, you find quite a bit of them over a period of years, and many of them are formed by the follicle around impacted teeth, like impacted cuspids. I've seen a lot of them from that form, and I've noticed quite a few from trying to do pulpotomies on infected deciduous teeth, especially where they crown them or cover them up. And I've seen cysts form from these and push the teeth out of the way. I mean, it's amazing what the pressure of the cyst inside this, it's epithelial tissue, and it swells. It'll absorb moisture, but it won't let it out. And it'll just push the teeth around all over the place. It's, as I'll show you in this particular video here, and there's a fast way to do them, and there's a slow way to do them. Now, my preference is using the slow method. You probably could add some of the features of the slow method to the fast one, but to just do it real fast, you usually do a lot of surgery, and you take that little covering of bone structure off of them then. But the slow way, you just open them up and keep the opening packed. And we used iodoform gauze, and you'd change it every few days, and it took quite a while, but it took the pressure off, and the cyst would just shrink up gradually. So let me show you this case that we've got here, and the next time I'm going to show you one that we did the fast way. And different circumstances. Some people want them over quick, and that may be uh, worth going ahead and doing the fast way, but you have to take the coating of bone off to do that, as I'll show you. Okay, here's a little young lady that looks perfectly normal here in this particular picture. Her facial structure and the height and everything looks good, and really she has very little to fuss about at this point right here. Now she's got when she smiles real big, her lip is short in here, and she actually uh, shows a lot of gum tissue, which isn't good. So if you have a gummy smile like that, learn how to mask it about. You can stretch your lip. When I was a young child, I don't know, I was probably 9 or 10 or somewhere in that area, but I had my teeth straightened and my lip was short, and my stepmother worked for this orthodontist, and I spent a lot of time in his office. He had me pulling my front lip down over my teeth. Well, now that I'm old, my lip, if I just relax it, my lip covers my teeth completely. Now, when I really have to smile big for you to see much of my teeth, my upper teeth, in that. So you can cover up this gummy smile if you try, but it's pretty difficult. But the lip is so short here. If the lip was down this way, now if you're an older person and you're concerned about this gumminess of the smile, well, just don't crank your lip up real big. Just kind of make a smaller smile. It'll still look good. So anyway, let's go through the other pictures in here. And this was in 8/30 of 93. when we started working on this young lady, and she had a very crowded situation, and uh, we took teeth out. I'm almost certain here, uh, and we you can do these things without taking them out. But if you need to expand the mouth a lot, you don't want to make people too protrusive, or you can tell them about that and do whichever way they want them to be. But anyway, we took some teeth out on this particular case, and she's got a closed bite and all this. But what we're going to deal with now is uh, the cyst that she had. Now you'll see this deciduous tooth here that has been operated on, and they took the pulp out and everything, but it was infected when they did, and they sealed it up, and that's the only thing that I can see that would have caused this particular cyst. And you can watch it, and I'll show you the x-rays on it later on. Now we'll go to the bottom picture. Of course, your cuspids are completely crowded out, and you've got your second and your first and second bicuspids in here, and your cuspids got to fit in there. So we took some teeth out to do this. Now, when you go after a cyst in this slow method, you try to go to what caused the cyst and get rid of that. In other words, we're going to take this out, and we're going to probably take the baby tooth up in here out too, and we may have extracted the other tooth, and then we kept the opening wide open. We packed it with gauze and every few days you get them back in and pull the gauze out and put some fresh gauze in it. Now, a lot of dentists here in the States never do get to see huge cysts, but I've worked in Africa about 3 years, and I saw some pretty huge cysts. Some of them you wouldn't believe, but at least one of them was hard for me to believe. This young man's whole jaw was a cyst, and his jaw was about as big as my wrist right here. He looked like a massive jaw on this guy, and he came into me from our hospital. One of the hospitals sent him down there, and he had this gauze packed in, and you could see it under his chin. And I had a little flashlight, and I pulled this gauze out and put this flashlight in that hole and looked up in there, and it's like in a cave with the roots of the teeth hanging down inside the cave. In other words, and it was an experience to me. I did not have any camera to take the picture with, and the guy couldn't speak English, and he couldn't communicate with anybody in the office. Though I had boys that spoke all kind of languages there, and I told him to come back. We would keep this thing packed open, and I do believe that the whole jaw would have shrunk down to where it was a normal size. But I never did get to try. He left, and I never saw him again. But when I was in Enugu, Nigeria, I had a policeman come in who had a cyst caused by a follicular uh, problem with an impacted cuspid. And this cyst was about as big as a small hen egg, here in the jaw. And I opened that up and got rid of the cuspal problem with the cyst. And we kept it open for several weeks. He would come back in every few days. I had a ton of iodoform gauze somebody had sent out there, and we packed it every day, every time he came in, but it was usually a few days apart, and the thing just shrunk up completely. when you take the pressure off, and whatever epithelial tissue's in there just becomes around the tooth. It's saved in there. It'll just become the gingival tissue around it. Okay, now let's look at this particular one here. Now you don't see anything unusual about this until you look at the x-ray. And when we show you the x-ray, you're going to see the what is giving you the trouble here. Now this is after we pretty well took care of the cyst. This is 1995. This is 2 years later, and I'll run through those pretty quick. And we took the bicuspid out, and we got this cuspid down in here. But I want you to look at this cuspid when we get to the X-ray of that. Down on the bottom, there wasn't any big problem here. We'll get in and line all that up later, but we're just going to be dealing with the cyst. Now this video here we did in 91. And here is this deciduous tooth, you see, that they crowned, and they did a pulpotomy, but you can't really take an infected deciduous tooth and do a halfway pulpotomy like that. It just doesn't work. They apparently crown this tooth. Now this is 91, and I got another x-ray of this guy. Now I didn't do that, so I'll just tell you straight out, I didn't put a crown on an infected tooth. I never did pulpotomies on infected deciduous teeth. But thousands of healthy deciduous teeth. I've done pulpotomies and never had one go bad. And I'll knock on wood, but that's a fact. You can believe it or not. Now, here is what happened. Now, this is 93, and that other video, I'll go back, and that's 91. So in 2 to 3, that this took out, and it pushed this lateral out of the way. It moved this one, and it took this cuspid way up too. So look at the difference in the two panrexes here. Look where it shoved this cuspid, shoved the root of it back up in the sinus, you see. And this is the bicuspid that we're going to take out, and we took out the bicuspids all the way around on the case. And when we took this out and took this tooth out and took the one here, you see how this lateral is shoved over to the side also. Here's a normal lateral, but we were able to push this back. Now, we kept this open from here, and this tooth will just come right on down into that place. And after seeing that, I felt like the one that I'm going to show later was not the best thing, or that portion of it wasn't the best thing to do. Now here, 93, and I'll show you in the next deal here, it's 94. That cuspid, you see its roots still in the sinus a little bit, but it's coming on down, and then it's moving into place. And here's the lateral that's had been pushed out of place too, and it's coming down, and we'll look at it a little later. Now this is, I can't see the date. It must be it's 94 something here, but the cuspid is coming on in straight, and the space is closed up. And here is the next video. That was number 4. The next panrex, and now this is number 5, and there's the lateral and the cuspid lined up, and that's where the pictures were. Now here we'll take this thing out, and this tooth will have to swing down into that, and we'll take this deciduous teeth. When they go, these will come in. I don't show the case at the end, but the thing that I wanted to impress on you, if you keep the cyst open, then there's no pressure inside. Then the thing shrinks back and then acts more or less like a normal tooth, and the epithelial tissue that formed the cyst becomes the tissue around the neck of the tooth that's in there. Well, of course, I removed that baby tooth and took one of the bicuspids, the first bi out, and it epithelial tissue ended up around these teeth, I suspect, but there was no epithelial tissue in there when we got through with this. Is out on the outside. Uh, Now here, and this is a blown up picture of it, but just show you what this originated from this deciduous tooth here, and it had the pressure on it, pushing this tooth up, push that one out of the way. And of course, we end up taking this one out, and we let this one come on down in place, and this straightened out. We put two little springs on these to push them over. That's when I used a few removable deals doing that. So here it is. That was 93, and this is 94 right here. The cuspid is coming down, and this is working its way out really good. And there we are. I think that's 95, and that may be our last Panorex there to show you. But we've got this cuspid moved in. I didn't have to go out after it or anything. It just came on in on its own. And that's the experience I had on that policeman. His jaw just shrunk back up again and just keep taking the pressure off, and it shrinks back to a more normal position. Whatever happens in it, as long as you take the pressure off. The cyst absorbs moisture, just keeps swelling out and pushing things out of the way. And of course, the worst one I've ever heard of. I mean, this guy's jaw was just a cyst, and it looked like it was just a shell. If somebody had hit him in the jaw, it would have broken so easy. And the hospital sent him down for me to work on, but the guy, I couldn't speak to him, and I think none of the young men in the office, but the guy was kind of afraid of what would happen to him, and he just took off, and I'm sure that he ended up messing up his whole jaw there. I was really wanting to pack that and keep it open and see if it would shrink up like these other cysts would. So here, this tooth was coming in. We took this out and got this down in place, but I don't carry the case here and show you everything on it. But there, that's going in place, and we've extracted the teeth, and the cyst is gone, and it's worked out quite well for this young lady. This is 1996, and here's the models showing it from 1 to that's 95, and after we did the cyst, that's 95 again, 93 and 95. Here these laterals behind. Of course, that's just a simple orthodontic jumping a crossbite or something like that. And we've got that fixed up back in 95. The lower cuspids were sticking out to the side. And of course, when we extracted the first bite, it was real simple to pull those in, or we could have expanded it just about as easy and put them in there. And that's the last video on this young lady, and I hope you see something in this. Now, this is a slow method, and I kind of favor that in molesting things less. Just get rid of the cause of the cyst, keep it open, and it shrinks up. And I'm going to show another video on just how the fast way, in other words, you go in the surgical, I'll send it to a surgeon, and he uncovered the laid a flap there and then took this bony plate off the outside and went in and peeled the cyst out and all that, and took out one of the molars while it was doing it. So this is the end. I hope you pick up something from this. I appreciate you watching our channel, and I hope you'll subscribe to our uh, video deal and join us again. I hope to see you another time. So I'm going to shut this down now.